Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jim Bellacera sitting with Karla Pacheco. And what a wonderful lady. I've had a chance to get to know you from traveling all the way over to North Carolina on the phone several times and then here in California at my office. And this is really exciting for me. We're going to talk about, what makes you tick. I mean, obviously you're quite the entrepreneur, and as your husband always says, Karla knows best. So let's talk about what makes you tick. Why are you so driven and such the entrepreneur? Help me.
Well, the entrepreneur. I think one of the things that really has impacted me very early on was my dad's influence. My dad has a very entrepreneurial spirit, and it always has been. And it was almost like, oh my gosh, he was always figuring. He has a natural ability of always seeing how something can really become massive growth out of something. He can always see the potential of something really big, and so, that's something that really was instilled in us very early on about how you can also, whatever you're involved in, you can make it better.
You say us. So, how many siblings?
We're quite a few, actually.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, in the family, there's three of us, but he's had, other marriages, and there's quite a few of us.
Okay.
But as far as my sister, my brother, and I, we got to see probably when he was the most active as an entrepreneur. And we got involved very early on in his endeavors. He really involved us and got to see many different aspects of business and stuff. So that really was something that it's just second nature. Seeing the different areas of the business and really we've been able to transfer that into other type of endeavors as well. And also very early on, I worked for a hot-headed Cuban. Oh my gosh, but it was the best training ground I could have ever had. It was very early on. I've worked for about 8 years with him, and he's an amazing. He's a genius in marketing, and I actually had to be involved in every role as the company started from scratch. I pretty much did everything in that company before, as I grew. So as we brought in people and that expanded, it gave me a very good training ground in different aspects of building a business. So, and as we've, my husband and I have, had different businesses in different industries, always find myself referring back to those basic building blocks.
What is it about being an owner of a business versus being an employee in a business? Something drives you, obviously. I mean, is it that you can't be paid what you're worth if you were employed by a company? Talk to me. Help me.
I think it has more to do with being able to empower other people and seeing them grow in roles, because I think that's probably what I loved most, being involved in as an employee in a company, and as my career, advancing my career and being able to mentor other people into those roles, and seeing them flourish and just really, what they started out as kind of mousy, and then later on seeing them very tenacious and being able to accomplish amazing things, even, as they moved on to other, things in their career.
Now, how do you spin all these plates? A mother, a wife, business partner. How do you spin all these plates?
I have an amazing support system. Yeah, my mother-in-law, my sister, my daughter, everyone plays a role there. I think it's kind of like one of those things of how is it called, the village, village concept. So yeah, we have that. My husband and I have a very good support system.
Do you come across a lot of women that, are mothers and wives and trying to do a job and try to start businesses? What's something that you tell them to encourage them?
Well, one of the biggest challenges I see in that department is for a woman to really feel empowered. And I know that's a term that's being used so loosely nowadays, but really empowering someone, not just, I think the biggest challenges is that they're faced upon is really believing in themselves. That they can really, and the number one enemy is between our head. And with women, that is so prevalent. I mean, there's just some major emotional blocks sometimes that really they need to get past just to be acknowledged that they're there so that they can really step into their own.
Did you have, as you were growing up, did you have somebody who helped empower you emotionally to believe in yourself and and that you could become whoever it is that you want to be?
I think fathers play such a huge role in that. My father, would set us aside and said, you could do anything you want to. Whatever you want, you can go after it, and I have 100% confidence you can do that and more, as long as you want it. And that's something, and it was during the formative years, so really, it was very early on, so I don't think there's ever been anything that I can look at and say I can't do that.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
It is.
This whole particular part of the interview is really about, what kind of makes you tick and everything, and I love the idea of being able to take from an About Me page and text and convert that into let you tell your own story on why you are so much the way you are, and that people can fall in love with you as an individual.
Well, it's a good thing to have a combination of things, and my parents, my father was a dreamer and an entrepreneur, and my mother is a very solid foundation for me. She's really the doer. She's very action driven, and as seeing a strong woman as a role model really, I think she's impacted me in a way that many mothers have impacted their daughters into really feeling that one thing is to dream, and one thing is to be have an entrepreneurial spirit, but to really put the action behind that and having the tenacity and the the consistency. That's what I would call. I'd say consistency. My mother that would be like the number one adjective I would use. Someone who's very consistent.
Well, Karla, we're going to wrap this up, and I want to ask you a question, and I want you to talk to the camera about this. You grew up with people who believed in you, and there are people that don't believe. They're in a family where the family doesn't talk that way. They don't have either the entrepreneurial spirit, or they don't have the right language, and they don't say the things that are encouraging and so forth. What would you say to them if they were to ask you how can they overcome their own personal demons?
I think one of the first things that a person needs to realize is that, and what you need to realize is that whether you're growing up in a nurturing environment and where you are being empowered, through words are so important, or whether you are in a situation where someone is maybe they just don't know how to speak to you that way, or they're doing something that is really holding you back, or you don't even realize most of the time that those things are in the back of your mind and that they are holding you back. But the most important thing that a person has to realize is that all of our experiences, everything that we have lived for, it's there for a reason. And the reason that they have had that particular upbringing so that they can impact other people, because now they can have that perspective that they can actually draw from. And so when they are, we're here to mentor people, period. I mean, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what business you're in life itself, you're here to mentor people and empower people. And all of those experiences are there. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you the kind of person that can help someone else break through and come into their own as well. And so really, those are not setbacks. Those are part of who you are, and that's part of the tapestry, part of what's woven in there, so that you can actually have other people be able to relate to you, and so that you can, whatever you say and whatever your experience is, and you share that's so important, that it'll resonate with other people, and they can draw them to you so that you can actually impact their life some way, or be the vessel that is used to impact their life.
Well, thank you for being a part of this. I really appreciate it, Karla.
Thank you, Jim.